Mr. Hector J. Garcia. Mr. Hector J. Noyola. Ms. Monica Garcia in present. Dr. Minita Ramirez.
Present.
Mr. Jose Valdez. Mr. Guadalupe Gomez.
Present.
Mr. Ricardo Garza. We have a quorum. This emergency meeting of the Board of Trustees has been called to address and discuss the impact of ever-increasing COVID infections of personnel and, in some cases, students in our community. Because safety remains a priority and due to the most recent spike in infections, this shortage impedes the district of following through with our mission of education. We are here to discuss what has taken place and what we can do as a district to address this most recent COVID-19 development, and how we can adapt to implement processes and procedures that will permit us to provide the best level of instruction to our students, including a temporary remote virtual platform, while at the same time keeping them as well as our valued employees safe.
Item number 1, discussion and possible action to approve a resolution regarding the LISD Board of Trustees to modify scholastic calendar, teacher schedules, student instructional schedules, employee schedules, and on-call duty of district employees to address the impact of coronavirus surge within the district and community. Mr. Garcia and trustees, we've been examining the trends in our community and in our school district, and on behalf of the district employees and students, we would like to recommend a temporary return to remote and virtual instruction for beginning on Monday, January the 17th, through Friday, January the 21st. We have also created or developed a resolution that would allow us to be able to stagger the schedules of paraprofessionals and at the same time to address remote and virtual instruction from our teachers to our students. So I have asked Dr. Ramirez Trevino, and all of us have worked together today to be able to craft this framework, and we believe that it is something that we should do, and if you would like for us to read the resolution at this time, or if you would like to have more discussion.
Yes, I have a quick question before we continue. If we're actually doing this because we're trying to mitigate COVID-19 and obviously the positive outcome of COVID, why are we not starting remote instruction tomorrow?
Well, we want to ensure that every single child does have his or her device and that it's operable. We also want to ensure that every single teacher has already created their rosters on the Google Classroom platform, so that way when kids log on, they are able to log on. And then we've got a bunch of brand new little ones that we have to teach them how to log on from home on their virtual devices. So it's actually 1 day of preparation, which will be tomorrow, and then we should be able to start on Monday through Friday.
I think at the very beginning when we looked at it, I talked about it, starting it on Friday, but then after reviewing that, some people, a lot of kids have their stuff at school, they're gonna have to go anyway, so give them the opportunity to teachers get prepared. So Monday we start at full steam.
So we can't use Friday as a staff development day to do all this stuff, and then, just kind of have our
Just get the
students
kids
come
enough-
in, pick up, because that's gonna give us Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 extra days of, I guess, mitigating versus to adding the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday into what we are trying to basically avoid.
It really only 1 day, so it's just Friday, because
No,
Saturday, Sunday they're off already.
yes, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that, the spread, if anything would, on Friday, what we're trying to do as far as emergency is basically stopping the spread. So if we're using this as an emergency should be concluded as also being part of Friday. And that is just my opinion. I'm just trying to help out, with the mitigation efforts that my colleagues, myself, and the superintendent are trying to do, and those were just the questions that I had.
I think that they're really good questions. We were on call today with the commissioner, and I know that we, as well as other school districts in the area who have chosen to do this, we understand the impact. And honestly and truly, it would be something that we could say, well, yeah, let's do it, but we know that that there's quite a few kiddos that have not been in our schools. Remember that they just started back in August,
Monday.
and not all of them. And at the same time, we do have little ones that still have not, they need to return with a device to be able
What
to
is
use
the
it.
ADA as of today? Do we have that, Ms. Ayala?
50,000 something.
Today's attendance was at 14,080. We had over 1,000 students in remote conferencing, and our total enrollment is at 20,101. It has increased since Monday.
Okay, so with
So
us
it's not
doing-
going down, it's going up.
The
Yes.
enrollment, yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, the attendance today, the rate is at 78.03. In the past 3 days, it was at 79.
Well, actually, yesterday it was at 77.53, so today it's at 78. It went up a little bit. I'm sorry. I know that's being technical, but honestly and truly, we do need this day to be able to get our kids ready and to get our staff ready. We just want to make sure that also any new staff, we have hired some new staff. We want to make sure that they are also able to conduct their Google
And
Classroom.
the reason I'm asking all these questions, Dr. Rios, it is because it is probably important that we are as transparent as possible, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are watching this meeting. And I guess those are the questions that probably people are going to have, that why we're not starting on Friday. So that is the reason why I'm asking these questions. So for just in case they have that question, this is the answer why, because we are getting prepared to go to Monday and so on and so forth, because as it is, I know KGNS and several outlets in the media have already posted that we are going to close and go, not close, go to virtual learning Monday. So you have a lot of questions already on the feeds, you know, from the parents in itself. So that's the reason I'm asking these questions, so we can already answer them, you know, together as a unified board. That's the reason why
I
I'm
think the
doing
big
that.
concern I would have is, do all of our students have access to their Wi-Fi? Do all of our students have access to their devices? And in addition to the employees or the teachers being able to make sure that they can access it. So they really do need a practice day to get them on. I think that doing this Monday through Friday gives us enough time to give this pandemic or this rise in cases an opportunity to die down a little bit. The trends nationally are showing us that, and typically we are about 2 to 3 weeks behind some of the national trends. And so if that's the case, within the next 2 weeks, we should start to see a decline if that continues to be true, and that's a big if. So giving the students an opportunity, I think, to come to school tomorrow to make sure that they have everything that they need, including their books, because they've already gone home today.
Right.
And so many of them didn't take anything home.
Well, and
Well,
we
not
also,
only- Not only that, a big percentage of our kids travel to school by bus.
Correct,
By not providing that and saying, we're sorry now, who's gonna bring those kids to school?
correct.
Who's gonna transport them over there? So this is an opportunity for them. If they already have them, stay home. If you don't have your stuff, then you need to come to get your stuff,
Right.
to get prepared for what we're going
Yeah.
to do.
And-
They're good questions, but looking at the whole thing, from one day to another, without preparation, is just,
It might
these
be
kids that did,
chaotic.
Well,
it's.
Is there an
And- and
opportunity
I do wanna add
to
one
go
more-
half a day
Mr. Noyola?
for tomorrow? Is there any opportunities for that?
we have one more consideration that I wanted to share with you.
Go ahead,
We
Mr. Noyola.
also needed to, oh, I'm sorry.
Dr. Rios, next week, if teachers want to do their remote teaching from their classroom, will they be allowed to do it?
Yes. In fact, that is one of the letters that we worked on with today with our Human Resources Department. But the other consideration is this, that if we were to have just done it this way, that means that parents would have had to make arrangements for someone to take care of their children tomorrow. And so by doing this and by giving notice ahead of time, it gives parents an opportunity to say who's gonna take care of my child on Monday through Friday? So, we did look at that also as a consideration for this. And so it is getting kids ready, it's getting teachers prepared, which I would say the majority are prepared as far as the platform, but every time you use Google Classroom, you have to create a roster where kids can have a link to be able to log on. And so that is something that we need to be able to do, plus give parents the opportunity to make arrangements as to who's gonna be home.
And absolutely no students will be going back to the schools, right?
Well, here's one of the things that the commissioner said today at our 3 o'clock call, that we cannot deny a student wanting to come into the classroom, even if we were to take this action or you were to approve it. So legally, we can be sanctioned for that. So right now, that's another thing that we were planning, use this entire day coming up tomorrow to notify everybody, to make sure that everybody stays home with the intent of mitigating the virus. But there may be some kids that are gonna show up, and by legal statute, we have to be ready for that. Now, I do not believe that there's going to be lots of children that way, but we also recognize that there are parents that work, and they may end up sending their children, and our recommendation is to stay home, stay safe, and even on this weekend, hopefully not to expose themselves to any other further risk.
So we can accept students, but we will not be announcing it.
Well,
They're gonna have teachers at school, basically.
Basically speaking.
there are some teachers that have asked today, if I choose to teach from my room, can I teach from my room? And so I think that's going to be a critical point, because some teachers are saying, I need to have my chalkboard, my whatever, my maps, my whatever it is that they need to do adequate teaching
Virtually.
virtually. And so they're going to want to, some may want to, some may not have the option because they need to stay home for whatever reason. Go ahead.
Just my only concern with that is, we're shutting down the schools for a reason. And the reason is we're trying to keep everybody safe.
Right.
I understand the teachers wanting to go back to their classroom to do that, but just take, for example, your teacher, you want to go to your classroom, and 4 or 5 kids show up that belong to your class, now you're gonna have to take them. Now you're doing everything that we're doing, you're putting yourself in a hard way. Now you're gonna say, well, I had kids in my class when I shouldn't have had them, but by law, we have to accept these kids. So if we accept the kid, we're having the if I'm not mistaken, teacher aides going to a classroom where they're virtual, where everybody else is, but now she's present, now how do you handle that?
Well, I think the issue is, from the commissioner, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're going to have to mitigate that either way. Either way, somebody's going to have to take those kids at the schools. So the administrators are going to have to be there.
Come in to do that.
And the administrators are, I'm assuming, are going to be there
All
as well.
administrators are gonna be at campus.
So if I
They
might
have to be.
address that or clarify it, back last January, a year ago, and prior to that, when COVID hit, we were in similar circumstances where we were modifying schedules and doing either rotations or remote. And we did have teachers that were coming in, and there were specific guidelines. For example, if you're gonna come to campus, then you need to stay on campus in your room for the entire time, not leaving for lunch and coming back, to limit that exposure. There are teachers that need the additional assistance, technology support, and so they felt more comfortable working in the classroom. So we did have that. It wasn't an abundance of them, but we did have certain teachers. The directive that we're asking for, if that's approved, is to say, if you're going to come to campus, you need to advise your supervisor prior to, so that we can make sure we make.
That's part of our letter.
I have a question, Ms. Garcia. What are the chances of doing half a day tomorrow so that the students can come in the morning, get their equipment, and then the teachers can prep for Monday in the afternoon?
Well, even at elementary, the kids change teachers from period to period. So that means if they were to come in the morning, they're not going to get to see their afternoon teachers. The same thing with secondary. So at this point, our infection rate with students we don't want anyone to get sick, but we've been handling it pretty well. We just need to have a day where we ensure that everything is in its proper place, ready to go, and that is our recommendation. I know that 2 hours or an hour, or we might say cut it down a little bit more, but at this point in time, this is what we're recommending.
Administrators, what administrators are going to be present?
All administrators are going to be present.
Well, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure that you all already sat down, did a very good plan. And what you're bringing us is probably a very thorough examination of what, we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to mitigate this. Obviously, this is not the first rodeo for LISD. This is already our fourth wave. So, I'm pretty sure that everyone is already abreast of what they need to do, how they need to handle it, how they need to go about it when it comes to the virtual learning side of things. So it's just basically, picking up where they left off in the virtual learning last year. So, I don't think things have changed as far as that goes. So I'm pretty sure and I'm confident that, you working with Dr. Cruz and all the administration, teachers and so on, I'm pretty sure that they're ready to handle this task and more importantly, keep everyone safe. So
Just,
I'm confident with what you guys are doing.
I'm glad you said that, because as of yesterday, we're having this conversation. And we had no plans in doing what we're doing. I can tell you that right now.
We didn't.
We had a conversation, we said, no, we're gonna keep it up. From one day to another, and I was talking to, I'm not gonna say who, I was talking to one of the principals after one of the meetings, and I was, hey, how did everything go? He goes, I'm struggling. I go, what do you mean struggling? This morning you weren't struggling. Well, when they got back to the campus, they found out 6 more teachers were gone. From this morning from the day before.
From yesterday morning to the afternoon.
Right, and one of the, I'm not gonna say where, but also there was teachers missing, so they're pulling kids out of one and put them in another one, and not in, the thing is, they're putting 15, 20, 30 kids in a classroom or in a gym, and now 30 kids are exposed to everybody being close to each other, and in one case, 20 of the people got infected because they were all together. So we're creating scenarios that are not safe, and we need to do it. It's not the kids that are getting sick, or it's the adults that are getting sick, and you need that. This morning we had problems with our bus pickup. We had to, so I think it's the right thing to do. I think it gives us a week or 10 days. We had talked about that 5, 6, 7, 9 days. But if you're sick right now, you'll be able to come back by then. If you're getting sick to here, you still have time to recover and see where we are a week from now.
And not only that, Mr. Garcia, if I may, also this is a message, for our employees and our parents. We're doing this to mitigate. Don't use this as a form of, okay, so let's go do a vacation, we cannot tell you how to use your time, but what we're trying to do as a board and as an LISD community, what we're trying to do is mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Because this is really, having to do and going the extra mile to continue to provide that added layer of safety for everyone. So I urge parents at home, please try to stay home with your children so we can, be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So that is just my message, and hopefully people do hear it loud and clear because it is important.
Dr. Rios, can we get a skeleton crew of administrators working on the daily basis instead of all administrators? Administrators are also getting sick.
Well, if they're getting sick, they're not coming to school anyway, because they're off for 5 days. We already, in my opinion, we already have a skeleton crew at the schools. I know that one of the high schools, there were 3 or 4 out of the 7 out, 4 because of the same thing.
Right.
So they're in a skeleton crew already.
So one of the things that Human Resources is doing is working individually with staff, because we want to ensure that whatever we're doing is going to positively impact not only that employee, but the other employees with whom they work. So we're taking everything on a case-by-case basis. LISD, very generous because of the board's action, we extended the amount of days at that time, and we're still continuing to work with staff, should there be a need for that. We were the first ones to implement the 3 days of, in case somebody got a vaccine, as an incentive for people to get a vaccine. We almost have 96% of our staff vaccinated. At the same time, you as a board approved the extra 10 days beyond what the governor did, and he ended it on December the 31st of last year, correct, Dr. Ramirez? And so we've been up at the forefront. As far as administrators, each administrator has his or her own office. Since children will not be there, they can isolate themselves, because there is a mandate, and I'm Florida, you can talk about that mandate that says that if you are if you've got people under your supervision, they need to be supervised on that particular day. And so we're trying to work as best as we can. We also know that all employees have their regular 10-day sick leave, and some of them have accumulated sick leave, and if they feel like they need to take their days, they will. So it's not that we're pushing them or trying to be heartless with that. I think that LISD has been very, very, very supportive of our employees throughout these 2 years, and we can't predict what's going to happen next week or the week after that, but in you taking this action, it is a preemptive, opportunity to take care of our students and staff.
And I have another quick question, Mr. Garcia, if I can. So now we don't have children to transport through the transportation site. What are we gonna do with the employees that are they still going to report to work? What are we gonna do with transportation, with the
So-
people that, work in fixed asset, the people that work in the cafeteria? What is
Okay.
the course of action for
Thank you
that?
for asking that question. We are reverting back to a resolution that you did last year. We are saying that half the time that in their hours, because we cannot pay paraprofessionals unless they're there for the whole time. So what we're saying is half that time has to be on site, the other half has to be an on-call duty status. And so the supervisors will be assigning their schedules, which they need to do tomorrow, so that way everybody knows when are you coming, when are you not coming, so that there's less people in our facilities.
Okay.
Dr. Rios, can you please inform the community, what is it that's going to happen with the extracurricular activities?
With the extracurricular activities. Okay, one of the things that we're doing is that for this week alone, coming up, I'm talking about the week coming up, we are going to continue with our varsity and junior varsity activities. I think that all of our athletes and those kids that are in extracurricular activities, their sponsors and coaches have done a really good job of vaccinating and testing our children, our students, almost on a weekly basis, and there's Coach Barrera there. So we've been doing that. So if anything, what that we know is that our athletes, for the most part, are much more are safer because they've already been vaccinated and because we're going through testing protocols every week. So that's one of the things that's going to happen. Now, for middle school, that is not the case completely in middle school. So for middle school, we are delaying 1 week's worth of activities for middle school, and we're mirroring what districts in the area are doing because, the parents have not all, we almost have, is it a 50-something% vaccination rate for all kids? Almost at 50% of all eligible students. So our goal as a district is to make sure that the other 50%
So is it safe to say that, whatever games that are coming up in the next week where we're trying to do this mitigation effort, that we lower the capacity level that can come into the games? Can we do that? Because that's bringing in community into our schools.
We don't have too many people attending the games as it is right now, so.
Yeah, but right
that
now,
shouldn't be a
we're doing
problem.
an emergency order, Mr. Noyola, and we need to be
I would recommend-
consistent of
Is
that.
that a problem, Sylvia?
What a lot of people are doing, and we were able to do that is, you can actually watch the games at home through the, so a lot of people are staying home.
And
most
watching
people
it.
you see are actually parents of kids. You don't
Most
see
of,
too many fans.
Martin Cigarroa will be playing out-of-town teams from now on, so that shouldn't be a
I went
problem.
to the United Nixon game at United, and I thought it was going to be packed, and it wasn't packed. It wasn't not even half-packed.
Because I just think that this, for next week that's coming, if we're already doing the mitigation efforts as far as not having the kids come to school, we should at least be conscious of that what we're trying to do, we need to really do. We can't say we're gonna do one thing and then, oh yeah, just go to the games and be there, and because what we're trying to do is basically not have the kids that are not athletes, that are not going through the process as far as the testing, as far as, the vaccination part. I mean, there's a lot of kids that go to the games. So what we're trying to do is basically avoid that. And a 1 week is not gonna, hinder anything to anybody. I mean, at least,
You tell a parent they can't go see their kids.
They what? I'm not saying that the parents cannot go see their
No,
kids,
which
because
50%?
you're misunderstanding what my point is, and you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. What I'm actually saying is that we should lower the capacity level as far as the games.
Did we-
That's it,
did we-
for
let me
1
ask you,
week.
Chief,
That's not,
did we-
hurting anybody.
She actually made a point. Did we not do that? We only gave tickets to the kids for their parents?
No,
Prior to
sir,
it?
we're still selling GoFan tickets, we're selling on-site, and students are still coming in free.
I know, I'm not saying that. I said before, when we were at 50% capacity,
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir.
did we give parents?
Yes.
Let's
We
go back to
stopped
that.
selling
I don't
tickets.
mind doing
It's
that
just
because I'm
1
watching some
week.
games. I know where she's coming from.
But we don't get 50% right now.
I know we don't get
capacity.
50 because I've been going to the games.
And now we're playing, Cigarro and Martin will be playing out-of-town teams, and they don't travel. The out-of-town teams, they don't travel.
Right
And
now
we
it's
don't have, we don't have 100 people attending our games.
Right now, we actually have to be very, very understanding that even if you're vaccinated, you can get COVID. So right now, that is that should be our focus. So our focus, we're saying, don't come to the classroom, then we should spread it across and say, you know what, we need to protect everyone
Then let's
across
just
the board.
cancel athletics for a week.
No,
That's not what we're saying.
Okay,
No, but
let-
if we're gonna do,
Garcia.
if we're not telling them, we're saying, okay, we're gonna close the classroom, but we're gonna let the athletics play. So if the band members come, well, we have practice, can we come to practice? Are we gonna let them come and practice? Yes? So anything with UIL, baseball, basketball, they can still practice.
Yes, sir. As of right now, we still are practicing. That's correct.
But then, she's
Even-
right, one thing we're saying, don't come, that's it, but you know what, but this group can.
even if we say,
Todos hijos de Dios o todos hijos del diablo.
even if we say, let's go half capacity right now, we have about 25. So that is no problem.
Yes, but even if they're in the gyms, separate the people.
No, but they are separated. We don't have enough. They're,
I
Do
mean,
you
all
agree?
I'm
Let me
saying-
ask you this, we agree, do we agree we're still gonna have games in practice?
Well, to me, I would say for 1 week, everything goes virtual, because right now, our point should be, we're taking care of our kids, and if we have to say there's not gonna be athletics for a week, there won't be athletics for a week. There's not gonna be
But
band for a
that's the
week.
UIL, so they're canceled games, so everything they work with, they're gonna.
So it's already
forfeit.
district.
Yes,
Because UIL 's not doing that.
that's the reason why I'm saying that we can't do it, because UIL is not gonna
Allow it.
understand what we're doing.
let's play it by ear this coming week. If we see that there's a lot of fans going to the games, in the following week we'll say 25%.
Okay.
Or zero, no parents, no fans.
Let's do this, let's make the motion to go virtual first, and then we'll go into the athletic part of it to add to that.
But is it?
It's not on the agenda.
It's the resolution.
It's
And
part of the resolution.
On,
So,
may I? On the games, you can just direct me and where's coach? And coach and say, this is what you want. On the resolution, it's basically about virtual and what are we gonna do with employees?
Okay, let's do that.
So,
didn't we already vote on extracurricular activities at one point to give you all the authority to make those
Yes.
decisions? We did.
no,
We did
I-
during COVID last year, didn't we?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
Good, you agree, but that was for that, but this is another scenario.
So if the point is about capacity, I guess, first of all, we would have to find out how many kids fit in a gym. And what is,
I have another question before we move on. What about lunch? Is lunch gonna continue as
Yes.
a pickup
Pickup.
for the students?
Monday?
The meals will be picked up.
Meals on the
Oh,
go?
meal service is gonna continue.
It's in the resolution.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's not start everybody either. Read this through the resolution.
Okay, Mayor?
Yes.
All right, resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Laredo Independent School District regarding modification of staff work schedules and on-call duty. Whereas the Laredo Independent School District, LISD, or the district, a political subdivision of the state of Texas, is governed by its Board of Trustees, who recognize that due to the employee shortages of Laredo Independent School District resulting from the surge of infection and positive cases of the coronavirus COVID in the community, and whereas the geographical territory of the district is within the areas declared a disaster and emergency area, and whereas the board has a substantial public interest in protecting the health and safety of its students, its employees, and the community by reducing the spread of COVID-19 to the greatest extent possible, and whereas the COVID-19 virus pandemic continues to be of concern to the health and safety of the district's students, employees, and community, and whereas the district, through its Board of Trustees, determined that in order to help reduce the spread of the COVID-19 virus, modification of teacher schedules is in the best interest of the district, its employees, students, and the community, and whereas the district, through its Board of Trustees, determined that in order to help reduce the spread of the COVID-19 virus, modification of student instructional schedules to a temporary remote virtual instructional platform is in the best interest of the district, its employees, students, and the community, and whereas the district, through its Board of Trustees, has determined that to continue to help reduce the spread of the COVID-19 virus, modification of employee schedules is in the best interest of the district, its staff, students, and the community, and which action was approved by an emergency meeting of the Board of Trustees, which will be on this date, January 13th, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that the findings and recitals in the preamble of the resolution are hereby found to be true and correct and serve a public purpose. The LISD Board of Trustees determines that it is necessary to temporarily modify student instructional schedules to a remote virtual instructional platform in an effort to mitigate the spread of the COVID-19 virus for the benefit of the district's employees, students, and members of the community. The LISD Board of Trustees determines that it is necessary to temporarily modify employee schedules in an effort to mitigate the spread of the COVID-19 virus for the benefit of the district's employees, students, and members of the community. Employee work schedules may be modified by assistant superintendents, directors, and principals, which in the discretion of the superintendent serves the purposes of this resolution. Provided, however, that all employees who are not asked to report to work or to the assigned site, campus, or facilities as part of the modified work schedule will remain on call and available to report to work to the assigned site, campus, or facility as required to perform the duties and obligations of their respective positions during the hours so designated. Employee will only discharge their position duties and obligations during hours worked or during the time that such employee is designated by assistant superintendents, directors, and principals as being available and on call and/or standby. The modified work schedule of employees shall be implemented during the week of January the 17th through January 21st, 2022, or as likewise determined by assistant superintendents, directors, and principals. Employees will be expected to report to work to their assigned site, campus, or facility when so notified by the superintendent, assistant superintendents, directors, and principals. The LISD Board of Trustees further authorizes the superintendent to modify the scholastic calendar, teacher schedules, student instructional schedules, and employee schedules to address the impact of coronavirus surge upon consultation with the LISD Board President. It is hereby found, determined, and declared that a sufficient written notice of the date, time, place, and subject of the meeting of the LISD Board of Trustees at which this resolution was adopted was posted at a place convenient and readily accessible at all times to the general public for the time required by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, and that this meeting has been open to the public as required by law at all times during which this resolution and the subject matter thereof has been discussed, considered, and formally acted upon. The LISD Board of Trustees further ratifies, approves, and confirms such written notice and posting thereof. The above resolution will be voted on at an emergency meeting of the Board of Trustees to be held the 13th day of January 2022.
You hear a motion?
So moved to
Second.
approve.
There's a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? No. The only thing the only thing I'd like to recommend, public comments, anybody? Sorry. Public comments? No? The only thing I would recommend that for the week that we are taking, that we go 50-50 in all gyms. In anything that we do, we go 50% per week. get the parents involved, let them have tickets first. Last time we did it because the city asked us to do it. I think we just take the initiative and do that 50-50, just to keep everybody safe.
Motion.
We don't have to vote on that. So we're asking you to look at that. We voted on that already.
No,
We just did.
Yeah, we just did.
Second, all in favor, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Wake up.
Motion.
Anything else? Guys, it's safe. We encourage, I wish we could enforce, but we encourage everybody to take the vaccine. If you actually look at studies everywhere, the ones that are in the hospital are the ones that have not been vaccinated at all. Yes, you're
Or
getting-
boosted.
or boosters. You're getting one or two that are good, but they're not getting as sick. You never know. I know Zapata today, their board voted mandating masks again. They're gonna challenge the state.
There is a clinic Saturday. For vaccines and boosters,
For all LISD students.
employees and students, right?
Only students, right. All LISD students can get vaccinated on Saturday.
Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
And what about BSS?
First, welcome to our meeting. This is the Laredo Independent School District Business Support Service Committee meeting. It's Thursday, the 13th, 2022 at 5:53 at the Amber Year Boardroom. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hector J. Garcia,
Present.
Mr. Hector J. Noyola,
He's out.
Monica Garcia, I am present. Dr. Benita Ramirez,
Present.
Mr. Jose Valdez, Mr. Guadalupe Gomez,
Present.
Mr. Ricardo Garza.
We already said the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to make a motion to table the meeting until following week.
So move.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Again? We're gonna cancel this meeting till next week.